Hi guys, it's Antoinette and welcome back to my channel. Now I thought I'll quickly do this video because someone highlighted a point to me or said something to me. They were like, oh, they really want to get into the whole property thing, or at least try and start looking at ways of investing, but they're in a lot of debt. So it's for them, their priority is getting out of debt as opposed to like even saving up money for whatever they want to like invest in and stuff. And I hear that, because if you're in debt, your priority should be to clear the debt before you even think about doing XYZ. Getting straight into the video, most of the tips that I'm going to talk about involve a change in your lifestyle, and most people know these stuff. It's just a matter of, do you really want to do it? So if you know that you're living a life that you can't afford, you're going to have to cut back. So I'm just going to mention a couple of pointers that will help you on the road to getting out of debt, so that you can now put all of your money, should you have the extras, towards saving for whatever you want to do now or in the future. And a lot of these things that I'm mentioning are very obvious, so without wasting too much time, the first thing is cut out the luxuries. There is nothing wrong with luxuries, only if you can afford it. If you're in debt, why are you trying to keep up with the Joneses? That to me doesn't make sense. Like, you know, you owe a lot of people money, or you owe the bank money, and yet you're living this life that, what, because of the gram? I don't even know. A lot of people are in debt and yet they're living to a standard that they cannot keep up with. So the first thing is cut out the luxuries, because if you're living a lifestyle where you know there's a lot of things that are in your life that are not a necessity, i.e. paying your gas bill or your electricity or putting food on the table, especially if you've got children involved, then all these extras that are making your life comfortable, they're not a necessity, and they might need to go for the time being, so that you can get yourself back on track and not get yourself into further debt. And like I mentioned before, a rule for me and my husband is that we're not going to borrow money on frivolous things. The only time we are borrowing money, quote unquote, is for a mortgage. Everything else, we've decided that we're not going to go down that route of borrowing money. So if we can't afford it, we are not parting the cash for it. And in line with that, credit cards. For us, we own credit cards, but we don't use it to spend money. So we're using it to build up points for air miles and stuff like that. And we hopefully, by God's grace, it's our desire to get to the stage where we don't even need to be building up points for air miles, blah, blah, blah. But it's like the credit card is there for those kind of stuff. And every month we pay it off. If you're a person and you know you have the tendency to spend a lot of money, cut the credit card up. It's not going to do you any good, especially with some of the charges out there on these credit cards. You don't need a credit card. If you're the kind of person that you're in debt and you're in overdraft, get out of overdraft. Stop your overdraft service so you don't go back into it. You already know yourself. This is why a lot of self-awareness comes into this. You know your kind of habits, you know your spending. If you know you're going to go over the budget, if you know you don't have the self-discipline to keep your finances in order, then don't put yourself in temptation's way. So don't own a credit card and don't have an overdraft service, stuff like that. All of those kind of things will help you on the road to getting out of debt. Excuse yourself from going out. It's not every day go out. It's not every day fine dining with your brethren and stuff like that. Like a typical night out probably cost you about 100 quid, and just the prep for the night out. So you're thinking about your shoes, your hair, bag, makeup, all of that, another £100. All of that, these things add up. So if you think about it, if you know that you want to get out of debt, there's certain lifestyle changes that you're radically going to have to make, and you need to surround yourself with people that understand this. If your friends are one to always constantly encourage you to spend money, and you know you're in this state where you want to like cut back on your spendings, and you've explained this to them and they don't understand, maybe it's time to just separate and like move away from that until you at least sort yourself out, because they're only going to pull you down and not help you get to where you need to get to, or your goal. So all the going out, fine dining, chuck it, get rid. It's not getting you anywhere. It might have to be Indomie and boiled egg for a while, just do that what you gotta do to get to where you're going, because at the end of the day, all your brethren, they're not living your life, you're living your life, and you want to build up your future and be better off in the long run. Then on your journey to getting out of debt, you might find that you have to avoid certain people, these people that encourage you to spend money. And it's not like I'm saying don't have a social life, but if your social life is draining you and causing you to make decisions that are not beneficial for your future, then think about it, isn't it? And likewise, if you have a tendency to shop a lot, or you're like a shopaholic, stay away from the shops. Just don't go shopping. I actually had to do this for a whole year. I avoided any form of shopping for clothes, shopping for bags, shopping for shoes, all of that. I managed to do it, and I saved myself a lot of money. You will be surprised the amount of money you will save. Find something in your wardrobe, because there's always something in your wardrobe, especially if you're a shopaholic. You always have something in your wardrobe regardless. And if it's a case where you can't go somewhere because you don't have an outfit for it, don't go there. If you're desperate enough to get yourself out of debt, then there's some stuff that you are really going to have to sacrifice, and it's part of it. Just avoid the shops, avoid going on shopping sprees. If your mum or your brethren or your sister calls you up, let's go shopping, honey, I can't do that, not right now, my bank account is saying no, because when you get there, you are going to spend money that you don't have. So just avoid the shops. My next point is stay away from getting into further debt. This is kind of linked to what I was talking about before, in that if you've got a credit card, cut the thing off, pay off your debt and cut the thing off. Stop spending money that you don't have every single month. It piles up, and that's the thing with debt. Debt piles up. So stop spending money that you just don't have. The next point I thought I'll talk about is you reviewing your contracts, like your mobile phone contracts, stuff like that. If you're on contracts where you're paying £80, £100 a month, I know some people pay this much for their mobile phone. You need to cut that thing back. You need to find yourself another deal, and just because these are things that will drain your money. It's not by force. You don't need that much data on your phone, especially if you're the type of person everywhere you go you're looking for Wi-Fi code. What do you need the data for? The bottom line is, look at your expenses. Can you cut back on these? For the time being, especially where you are right now, do you really need to be spending £60 on a mobile phone contract and you're not even using half of the allowance that they're giving you? Or better still, go on a pay-as-you-go system, pay-as-you-go kind of thing for the time being. All of these things seem like they're huge sacrifices, but they pay off in the long run till you can get to the stage where you can say, yes, I can afford this contract and it's not eating into me, it's not causing me to get into debt. It's the same thing for if you've got Sky TV and you hardly watch telly, why are you wasting money? Cut the service off until you can get to where you need to get to. There's so many little things that are around right now that are eating at you. Spotify, the list goes on. Cut these things down until your circumstances change. It's hard on your lifestyle, but your lifestyle, you will get used to it. When it's habitual, you'll be used to living that lifestyle until you can get out of debt. Once you get out of debt, you might also considering keeping away from these things so you stay out of debt, especially if your income is not increased. So if you don't have an increase in your income and you want to stay out of debt, then you might want to consider keeping some of these things out of your life for that time being until your income increases. You can't your income cannot stay the same and your outgoings increase. Does that make sense? I hope what I'm saying makes sense. If you get out of debt and then you revert back to your old lifestyle, you're going to get back in debt. It's inevitable. If you get out of debt, you want to aim at increasing your income. So if it's not a case where you can get a promotion at work or anything like that, you want to get your side hustle on. If you have a particular lifestyle, luxury lifestyle that you want to keep up with, you're going to have to get income in somehow if you don't want to revert back to debt. Another very obvious point, but sometimes isn't that obvious, is you need to have a budget. if you are on a get out of debt journey, you need to have a budget. You need to see where all your money is going into, because if you don't have a budget, how do you know what you're spending your money on? It is mandatory that you have. Some people do it weekly budget, some people do monthly budgets. For me, monthly budget works because income comes into my account every month. But however you choose to do it, make sure you have a budget and you're writing everything down. And these things might seem really long, but it's better for you to put all of these things in place so that you don't overspend, you don't go out of line until you get to the stage where you can actually afford certain things. And even when you get to that stage, you also want to be saving. You don't want to be spending all your money on luxuries again. You want to get to the stage where you're now saving up for a better future, or saving up to invest and all of that. So the only way you can measure your spendings is by having a budget, and otherwise you're just going to fall into the consequence of buying stuff that you don't necessarily need, or buying stuff that you thought you could afford but you can't really afford it. And finally, I'm a person of faith, and so I put it into everything I do. And for me, God is such a merciful God. For instance, if there's something that you're really good at and He can direct you to the kind of like, you can make a side hustle out of that will get you some extra cash in, that will help pay your debt off. Little ways He will show you of how you can effectively get yourself out of debt. And I'm a firm believer in what you sow, you will reap. A lot of people call it karma, whatever. What you sow. So if you're for instance, if you want clothes, for instance, why not get rid of all your old clothes? Give them away, give them to charity, give them to someone that can benefit from it, and you'll find that clothes will start to come to you. So it is what it is. Just think about that. Like, for me personally, this has worked for me many times. So I just thought I can't do this video without putting this in there, because He will direct you and lead you and help you get out of debt, and get out of debt a lot quicker. So yeah, ultimately, all the things that I've mentioned, it is down to you having the discipline to make things happen so that you can have a better future. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave it there for now. Remember that it's one step at a time to becoming confident, and you can get out of debt, and you can save money, and you can have a better future. Until next time, bye.